Welcome back to Earth Station Trek, a show where we trek from the early days on NBC to the future on Paramount Plus and everywhere in between. I'm Charles Kelso, and it's my privilege to introduce the Earth Station Trek crew, Keith Johnson.
Can some all-powerful alien wipe my memory of these episodes?
Alan Seiler.
And your sorbet sucks. Now get out.
And Veronica Dashel.
Hi.
And welcome back, everybody.
Woo!
Yay!
Yep.
Welcome back.
We took last week off because we were all, most of us were involved in Dragon Con and tied up at the time.
They're
So
at Dragon
tonight-
Con. I sat around the house.
Well, tonight we're going to be talking about 2 episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, 4.5 Vulcans and Terrarium. So spoiler alert for those 2 episodes. But before we get into that, Alan, how was your Dragon Con?
Holy moly, it was busy.
Okay.
It was good, though. It was good. It was busy. I had 9 panels that I was on.
Wow.
And I found out this year that for attending pros, the limit is 10.
Oh, wow.
And I've been at 9 for the last 2 or 3 years now. So I've got one more.
Wow.
People need to get in on it and get me on one more panel.
There
But
you
yeah,
go.
I ended up with only 3 Star Trek panels this year, which is down from last year, where I had like 5 or 7 or something. It was crazy.
Jeez.
Like I was in their room all the time.
Yeah.
But all the panels went really well. And we brought we didn't bring a lot of copies of our book. I think between the 2 of us, we brought 10 copies and we sold all of them. So that's nice. So we have some new readers and hopefully some new folks who will be
Awesome.
joining us for tonight's show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was great. It was great.
That's
great.
awesome. Yeah, we had a great time. We had a very successful Dragon Con, actually.
Yes.
We did 4 of our own shows, and then we appeared in a 5th show at the Puppet Slam. So we actually performed in 4 of the 5 Dragon Con hotels over the course of the weekend.
Yeah.
But it was great, and we even did like our Saturday adult only Star Trek show was a capacity crowd again. That's the 3rd year in a row.
Mhm.
Our Star Trek show on Sunday is a lunchtime show, so that's usually more lightly attended because it's 1 p.m. on a Sunday. So
We filled the room pretty good. We
Yeah,
didn't
I
pack it
think-
out.
Yeah, it was a good crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep, and then a busy crowd for our Doctor Who show. That's
Yeah,
usually a
we
more
filled the
lively
room.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even our Monday show, which we were a little nervous about because we were at the Puppet Slam until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then we had to be back Monday, and it was 1 p.m. Monday. So we weren't sure, like, are we going to have any energy left? Is anyone going to turn up for this thing?
Right.
And we had, we filled half the room.
Yeah, at least.
And they even said after the fact that that's the most people they've ever had on a Monday attending a panel.
Wow.
So they were
That's
very
great.
pleased. So
Congratulations.
yeah, we had a great time. We
Yeah.
had a fun weekend.
I had a Star Trek panel on Monday morning. Monday morning, and it was quite, for 10 o'clock in the morning. It was good.
That's great.
And then the last panel that I had was 2:30 on Monday in the Brit Track room. It was a Doctor Who, and it was for a 2:30 in the afternoon, the last panel slot available on a Monday, and it was like, I would say 2/3 full.
That's
Wow.
good.
I'm
That's
like,
great.
haven't
Nice.
you people gone home yet?
Right.
Everyone stays till Tuesday now. They arrive on Tuesday or Wednesday, and they stay until
Yep.
Tuesday.
I know, it's crazy.
So yeah, we had a great time, and we were really excited to talk about the book. And we had some people come up to us and get us to sign copies of the book for them and
Mhm.
bought copies. So that was nice that after our Saturday show, we sold out of all the books we had.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
First
That's
show,
really
we sold
good.
out.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
That's
pictures look
fantastic.
really good. I was doing work and some other stuff, but the pictures are really good that you guys
Yeah.
posted.
And I didn't have none of my Star Trek panels happened early in the weekend. They were all Sunday and Monday. So that was my opportunity to sell books and sold everything that I brought. So that was
Great.
nice.
Now we have some left for our book signing, right?
Yeah, there's a few.
Okay.
And I can order more. Don't worry about that. But yes, there's plenty.
Okay. And then Veronica, I skipped right over your Subspace Rhapsody picture show.
Yeah. So it went really well. It went really well. The video didn't play, so it was just the audio this time. And they filmed, and on 2 screens they had us on the stage, so you could actually see the actors even if you were further back. It was a significantly bigger room. The only downside is the entrances were like half a mile away from the stage. It seemed like, so
Yeah.
you could see us walking on towards the stage, getting ready to go on. Like a good minute before it was time. That was the only small downside, but I think the audience were so focused on what was going on the stage, they didn't really pay attention. So It went really well. It went really well.
That's awesome. I didn't get to see it again this year because it was Friday, right?
Yeah.
And I was booked up that same time with something else, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
I had to
next,
get in line this year.
Yeah.
I had to, she let me know in advance that she was not going to be able to get me in the room this year, so I had to go line up
Oh,
an
man.
Hour and a half early.
Yeah.
And he was still the 5th person in line. We didn't max
Oh
out
my
the room
gosh.
this time though, but it was like the room was significantly larger too.
yeah, that's great. That's really exciting.
Also, the line was lined up outside, is where last time the line was inside. So I think more people were willing to line up.
Mm.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great.
Well, let me get a few comments because Matt says, Happy post Dragon Con. And Mark calls us 3.5 Trekkers.
who's the half? Me?
Probably me. And then he says, 9 panels, freaking Iron Man in the house. You know it. Elaine was very glad to see at least one of your puppet shows.
Hooray!
Yay!
And she says that Subspace Rhapsody was awesome.
Great.
And our buddy Wayne says, Hey, y'all, so how do I get an autographed copy of your book? Well, we can work that out, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we got a
I will-
show here in Atlanta on the 27th. I can get the signatures and send it to you.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take care of you. We got you.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you guys said, September 27th will be at Infinite Realities it's in what town is it? Tucker,
Tucker.
Tucker.
Georgia. Yep,
Mhm.
I'll have to figure out where that's at. And
Precious.
we'll be talking about the infinite realities of Star Trek and signing copies of the book and talking a little bit about the book as well. So if you want to come see us live and in person, September the 27th. Did I get that right? Is that a Saturday?
Uh-huh.
Yes, it is.
And what time is it at?
1
p.m. September 27th. So come out and see us. If you're here local, come out and see us. If you're not, travel.
We're worth the trip.
Right.
Oh, here it is. I was like, I can't find my graphic. There it is. All the information you need right there on your screens.
That's
Definitely come and join us. It's going to be a blast.
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna have fun. There's only been a
Yeah.
few times we've all done a panel together.
Mhm.
Maybe
Yeah.
once.
Once.
Stellar Fest.
Once at Stellar Fest for our book launch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Who knows? This might not go well because we've never done it with each other before. No, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And our topic is, since we're appearing at the Infinite Realities store, the Infinite Realities of Star Trek.
Cool.
Oh, I'm excited. It's going to be a great topic.
Yeah.
There's a 61% possibility it'll go well.
61.
I thought it was 56.
Well, I fudged it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you guys ready to get into the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, we better. There's a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're kicking it off with 4.5 Vulcans, and I thought it might be fun for Veronica for you to go first on this one.
Yeah. So I am very sorry, Anson Mount. You did a really weird Vulcan. I did not care for the tonality.
Mm.
I mean, I got that his Vulcan was like anal retentive and whatnot about cleaning and all that kind of stuff. But the tone of the voice and the cadence was just like, eh. The others, I liked their cadence, although I feel like La'an was probably more of a Romulan than a Vulcan somehow.
That's what I was thinking. I thought that was the
her
angle.
eyebrows were even a little different when had a little
Yeah.
curve to them at the end.
I thought somebody was, well, I mean, I guess technically, canonically, they can't make a comment about that. But
Yes.
Yeah, but they already have an out for that. And they made a point of that in this episode. That
Yes.
both Pike and La'an have been on time travel adventures they can't talk about that involved Romulans.
Indeed.
Now they
Yeah.
kind of fudged it because I don't remember her seeing a pointy-eared Romulan during her time travel adventure. Pike absolutely did,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
that's got to come back later. They're setting themselves up to do a Romulan episode later with two
Oh, yeah.
characters who already know they have pointy
Yeah.
ears.
Yeah. But not, I agree with you, Veronica. I kind of felt like he read the script, and I love Anson Mount, and I just felt like he read the episode, and when he read it, he thought, "Hey, I'm playing an android."
I
Not-
felt like he
It was like an android Kirk though.
I felt like he watched Coneheads right before he went on camera.
Yeah,
Well, his-
for those old enough to know, I agree, Charles. That's been over the internet. He was like Dan Aykroyd in the Coneheads movie, not the Coneheads appearances on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, it was weird.
Mhm.
his hairdresser certainly had watched the Coneheads right
Oh,
before
boy.
doing this episode.
Or Eraserhead. Yeah, that was just wild.
Now, there were a few comments along the way of people
Uh-huh.
saying like, "Oh, this isn't any kind of Vulcan I've ever met," like that they were not acting like typical Vulcans.
Sure.
And so I think they left themselves a little bit of an out for that. What did everybody think of just the episode generally? Veronica, I had picked on you first because I kind of thought you'd be the most positive one in the group.
Oh,
So I
gosh.
wanted to leave with something positive, and you let me down there. What did you think of the episode overall?
I mean, overall, it was interesting.
Okay.
I really like Chapel and Uhura's
Yeah.
Vulcans. Even though they were very much assholes as well. But I really liked how they were portraying their human and Vulcan kind of smushing, their humanness and their Vulcanness smushing together,
Mhm.
and their natural tendencies. And it was really interesting when Uhura and what's his face were first
Beto.
talking, and she was Beto, when she was talking to him, and she was like, "Here's all the negative things I was thinking about why you weren't doing all of these things," just like dumping it all out there. So yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun. But every time Pike spoke, it was just like,
Yeah, he took you out of it, didn't he?
yes.
Yeah.
What did you
Well,
think? Keith?
Well, question, that device, which I want to call the Kervokian device, whatever it is, I can't pronounce it right.
Yeah.
Am I correct in all it did was alter their DNA to become Vulcans?
No,
What
because
else did it do?
the Krakowians were those non-corporeal beings from the other
Mhm.
dimension last season that turned Spock
Right.
into a human, where he
Mhm.
acted human as well. And
Mhm.
then when Chapel went back to see them, they gave her a serum that would turn him back into his Vulcan self. So I think
Right.
both ways it affected the personality also. It's space magic, which I
Right.
think
Basically.
the stumbling block for a lot of people, myself included, is that it comes from a hypo, which makes
Yeah.
it feel like it should be science, and you want to like analyze. Like if Q showed up and snapped his fingers and everybody was a Vulcan,
Right.
you just kind of roll with it.
Yep.
Right. Like, oh,
Right.
Q snapped his fingers, everybody's a Vulcan now. A space wizard did it. But when they inject them with something, then you start thinking like, well, that really. But they even mentioned in the episode though that like the serum affected their personality and gave them Vulcan logic that usually takes a Vulcan a lifetime to
Right.
develop.
Which makes no sense.
No, and that was my problem. And I agree with it because one, I mean, it's hard to talk about the science of the future, right? Because it's so much more advanced than they had in the original series. Even in universe, I have a problem with that. But to your point, I guess that was their out, because what I get tired of is when people become Vulcans. Vulcans are not natively logical. They're natively passionate and damn near violent. And so I wish if they were going to do it, I would have done it where they were struggling with their emotions, the over the top logic. And I will say, my oldest brother texted me about this, and it was weird. He said, "Is it me? Does Peck sit unnaturally stiffly?" Right? He sits stiffly, and we were talking about the show, and I said, "This reminds you how when a good actor makes something look easy." Leonard Nimoy made being a Vulcan look really easy, and so did Brent Spiner for an android. Because you guys are actors, you know what I'm talking about. Actually playing like you don't have emotions is harder than actually being emotionless. Because anybody who plays emotionless comes off playing like they don't have emotions. And so all the little cadences and the way they were acting, I just couldn't get with it. I didn't hate it, but I just didn't get anything out of the show. I didn't think it was funny. I don't know what Anson Mount was doing. I just don't understand it. I don't even understand Captain Batel's complete meltdown and yelling at the admiral. I mean, I know she was upset, but you don't usually kick an admiral out of the room. I'm
sorry, but she was fed up, and
yeah,
I can understand it. I don't disagree with her.
But forgive me, Wayne, because Wayne and I were just talking about this. In the military, you don't yell at your commanding officer and say, "Get out of the room."
She had her Gorn anger in her.
Oh God! Then I would have been Veronica. That would have been awesome if she turned Gorn and started whooping on them. I would have liked the show better.
Whooping on them.
Yeah, it was Strange New Worlds shoehorns in a lot of humor too much for me, and this was a good example of it. Just didn't do much for me.
When we first got they did a teaser scene, which was that scene where they got injected and they turned it was like a 2-minute scene, and they released that months ago.
Yeah.
And when they all like got injected and they all go through their convulsions and they fall down on the floor and then they stand up with different hairdos, I was
Yeah.
done with this episode at that point.
Yeah.
When you actually get into the episode and in a briefing meeting, what's her name? Pelia tries to high five the captain. I was like, no,
Yeah, I didn't
this
get
is
it.
not going well.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is not going well.
And in any other series, the episode would have been that mission to the planet where they're all having to deal with being Vulcan while accomplishing the goal and not it take 30 seconds off screen. And then their transformations back take 30 seconds off screen. It was just weird. Like I guess they made the choice that they need to be Vulcan while dealing with their relationship and personal issues. No, there's all. I mean, for me, this episode is the first one that's like that they've done on Strange New Worlds. It's like Spock's Brain, Way to Eden level, like a terrible episode. Still fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think it's more fun than something like the Fairy Tale episode. There's been several Strange New Worlds that I didn't like. I wouldn't rewatch as soon as I would rewatch this one. I think there's a lot that's fun about this episode, but it's like it's over the top. It's like you said with their hair braiding itself because of the injection.
So dumb.
Yeah, the over the top humor, the bad acting. I did really like the costumes. I'll say that. I
Those
thought
costumes were awesome.
the costume department came through again because those those Star Trek 3 like Sarek inspired costumes that they were wearing were great.
They were gorgeous.
Yeah. And
I didn't see any of them at Dragon Con. I was very disappointed.
I did like that Spock seemed very Spock-like this week until that final scene. But I also liked how rigid everyone else was and how relaxed Spock looks by comparison. Spock seems like the stiffest guy in the room, but there was a distinct difference between him and these like faux Vulcans.
Yeah.
I will say there are two positives about this episode. The post-credit scene was fun, and we saw belugas in Cetacean Op.
Indeed.
Anytime there's a beluga on
positive.
Anytime there's a beluga on screen, I'm going to be happy because I love belugas.
Yeah.
I'm giving away the lead because I want to save this when we do our season wrap up. But one of the things I've been struggling with, again, it goes back, Charles, you had said it as well, is I continue to feel that they write the episode they want to write, not the episode that makes sense in universe. And again, you got to be very careful because you can never say what they did is quote unquote wrong. Right. But when you also mentioned, you said something, I thought the same thing, which is this feels like somebody wanted to write a comedy episode and it's in Star Trek. And you made a good point. In the other series, that would have been the mission that was comedic. It's a very fine detail. But sometimes it's almost like they fish it out to someone and they're like, oh, I'm going to write a comedy show. It's Star Trek. Okay, let's make it funny. Whereas you should come from what's a good Star Trek episode, what makes sense, and then we'll make that Star Trek episode as fun. It's a real hard thing to define. And that's what I felt. It's like you just want to make a funny episode, not a funny Star Trek episode, as it were. And so I even noticed it was really weird. Even Rebecca Romijn, and when she first started, her voice in her personal log, it was lighthearted, which was fine because they were going on vacation, but it was a little too lighthearted. It's like, oh boy, they're really going to focus on this being a funny show. And the whole thing with Patton Oswalt, who I love, I just don't even get that. It was
Doug.
What was the point of Doug? And then his sister Sarah. I gotta be honest, I did chuckle at it, but it was stupid. Oddly, I liked what La'an was doing in another show. And I think when you guys said she was almost wrong, then I never thought about that. I'm like, there's an interesting thing she was doing, but not in this episode. It was just weird.
So we're talking about them writing the episode that they want to write. This kind of shows the different focus that this production team has than we've seen in in the classic seasons. And that is that it's a relationship show, not a concept show. Whereas and this happened a lot in the Russell T Davies Doctor Who, the first 4 years that he was on the show, is that the plot kind of takes a back seat to the relationships. The relationships are what drives the show. And that's not a bad thing necessarily, but a sci-fi show should have a better balance, I think, where it's very concept driven and the relationships are taken with that concept.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
It
And I
absolutely
feel like
does.
it's not a sci-fi show. It's a relationship show that's got some sci-fi elements in it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a relationship show that happens to have Star Trek slapped on it, and all the other stuff we've seen in Star Trek, even the ones that we don't love, they really do feel like a science fiction military show that has good relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, I'll save that for our season wrap up. I had thoughts about that. And again, I will say this, I've said this a million times, unlike a lot of people, I am absolutely fine with Paul Wesley as Kirk. I'm good with his Kirk, but I really don't know what he was on the show for either.
Here we go again, Keith.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I agree about him just turning up.
Yeah, he just showed up. Like, for what reason?
Yeah, and I like him as Kirk. Yeah, like I said, I don't like Kirk in the show, but I like him as Kirk, so I got no problem with him. But I was like, why did he show up? Oh, and then
like, if you have free time, go visit Carol Marcus. Come on.
Just that. Well,
Right.
yeah, that's a good point. He's got a baby on the way or here. I don't know where that baby is. And also, again, I gotta say,
Where's La'an?
yeah, and folks, you know, I'm not trying to pile on the show, but at the end, it's like, guys, seriously, could somebody please teach you subtle writing? Scotty says something like, I could get used to it with the scotch. And then Kirk, and then if I hear one more analysis of how Scotty's going to become a miracle maker, I'm going to throw something at the TV. Where he was like, you didn't have a plan. You met, guys, we get it. Scotty is good on the fly. Must we keep analyzing? And then Kirk goes, we work well together. Folks, come on. Seriously?
So apparently this is the first time Scotty's ever had scotch.
Right. A Scotsman, right?
I mean, there's got to be a first time. I mean,
Yeah.
and certainly now he's younger than Kirk. So, you know.
Right.
It's weird. Okay, so we've got 8,000 comments. So let's see if we can get some of them at least. Wayne says Anson looked like Captain Havoc from Command and Conquer Renegade. I have no idea what that means, buddy.
I hadn't thought
I'll
about it,
take
but I agree, Wade. That's funny.
And he says he was not buying the instant Vulcan bit.
Me either. Too much to take.
Bill says, wait, what? There's a Strange New Worlds episode in which everyone becomes Vulcan? It's actually only 4 characters that become Vulcan, but it seemed like everybody. Elaine says, and I haven't read through any of these yet, so I have no idea what's going to be said. It was an episode. I do agree that Uhura and Chapel were the best Vulcans. Pike looked ridiculous, and La'an was so much a Romulan from the get-go. It was silly.
Mm-hmm.
Matt says, the Trek Track had an episode from this season in this year's Salamander Awards, but the Vulcan episode would have made a better choice. No, I don't think it would, Matt, because the Salamander Awards are about celebrating the best of the worst. This is the worst of the worst. Sorry. I'm just being a butt. All right. Michael Phillips says, I'm still finishing up Enemy Mine. Oops, I mean Terrarium. But I'll be with you folks shortly. Oh, I shouldn't have got that one because he made a joke that I was going to make. Anyway. Wayne says, I support what you said 100%, 1,100%. I don't know, Keith. So I don't know what that was about. Tiger Blade 2002 says, I like what, like I said to Keith, they were stretching the humor card rather. Yeah, exactly.
That's what Wayne
rather
said earlier
thin.
today.
Michael says, definitely the weakest episode so far this season. Usually I enjoy the Vulcan hijinks episodes, but this one fell flat for me. Almost none of the humor landed. I would say this is the weakest episode of the series, but hey, that's just me. Bill says, Keith, I guess you can be thankful that they didn't make Patton do references to his character in the MST3K reboot. Interesting. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
All right. I think we're all caught up.
Yeah.
Well, great.
A lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of comments.
Was there anything anybody liked about the episode? Like truly liked?
Yeah, the belugas.
I hate the fact that there's. I'm glad it was a dream because Cetacean Ops was a TNG era thing. There was no Cetacean Ops in the original series tech manuals.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's a weird choice to introduce that in a dream sequence for the first time. I couldn't stand the post-credits sequence. That to me was the worst part of the episode because I mean, surely a Vulcan can understand the concept of a contraction. He's not Data, right? Like how many languages do Vulcans learn? He can't understand that concept.
He can't get its, he can't get that's, but he does say I'm.
Right.
One time.
Yeah.
One time he said I'm, and I'm like, you've just
Yeah.
ruined the whole thing.
Yep.
Right. But no, I thought this was I think this is a better episode than say the fairy tale episode.
Me
Because
too.
because I think it's more fun. At least it's not bland, it's not vanilla. It's got
Right.
I mean it's they're trying some bold things with the hairstyles. It's over the top, and that's why I compared it to something like a Spock's brain. I think this is more of a Spock's brain and not a Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. Not Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. That's not a fair comparison. I like that episode. But and The Children Shall Lead, for instance. Or Let He Is Without Sin is the one I was trying to say a minute ago. Like it's not one like that makes me angry to watch it. I think this is a fun watch. And I think there's something to be said. Like if the magic serum from the aliens that they gave them is based on Spock's perceptions, like what does their Vulcan personas say about Spock's perceptions of Vulcans? Or if it's just heightening their own personality traits and turning them into Vulcans, what does it say about those individual characters? And I think there is more examination that could go into that. Yeah, I was kind of like you said, it's a relationship show. I would much rather have had what Keith had mentioned earlier, where they have to be genetically turned into Vulcans. They can't control their emotions, and Spock has to help them.
Yes,
while they're on a mission.
Better.
Right, but that's not the like he said, it's not the episode they wanted to say. They wanted to do, I get a shot, I scream on the floor, and I stand up with 4-foot high hair saying, I'm a Vulcan.
Yeah, and another little problem I had, and I know I'm getting into the nitpicky now, is when you throw something away for a comedy show, the concept of the Vulcan Katra and the concept of the mind meld are really serious and big deals. And I don't care what they've done to Uhura, she would not be able to effectively mind meld the first time out of nowhere from everything else we've seen about mind melds and reprogram somebody's personality, which is also not something you've ever really seen a Vulcan do. They go into and they can have memories and share impressions, but you've never seen a Vulcan brainwash somebody to turn them into a different person, and she wouldn't be able to do that on the first time. The reason I say that, again, those are things that are treated with incredible seriousness elsewhere in the show. And so it was kind of like, again, it was just tossed away. It was sacrificed on the altar of humor, and it just didn't really work for me.
Sacrificed on the altar of humor. That's a great concept.
It was interesting because Chuck was just listening to a panel that Mike McMahon was on, and he was talking about how for Lower Decks, when he had writers, the writers would bring these really humorous things to him, and they would get really upset when he'd be like, no, we can't do that because it's not Star Trek. Yes, it's a hilarious episode. It's a great concept, but it's not Star Trek. So Mike McMahon was fantastic about knowing where that line was of, yes, Star Trek and humor can go together, but there's a line.
Yeah, I don't know that Lower Decks always got that line.
No, not 100%, but I feel like they got closer than.
But you know what? But it's an interesting point, though. Like, do you think that this would have worked better as a Lower Decks episode if Boimler and Mariner had turned into Vulcans and played for laughs? I mean, would that have worked better in the animation format?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Think so.
Yes.
I definitely think so.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But Charles said something interesting. I would watch this any day over that Elysium episode and the horrible, for me, episode with Trelane from this season. I never want to watch that again. or the Gene Roddenberry, the whole putting together the show thing.
Because we had a reference to that Trelane episode in Space Rhapsody.
Oh boy. Because I did genuinely chuckle in this, and I didn't chuckle in those episodes. Like, as silly as it was when they did walk down the halls, and then Pike had, I forget what that's called, the big
oh my gosh, the rap music, spinning the Lurpa.
Yeah, the Lurpa, thank you. That's what it was. Yeah. I did laugh, even though it was ridiculous, because again, that's a sacred weapon that Kirk and Spock used in their battle. But I did laugh there, and I did laugh when La'an started getting really freaky about. She's like, "There's going to be a war." She was doing a great role, and what should have been a different show. Right. There's something there, but not that show.
Well, speaking of the sacred weapon, what did you think about number one telling Doug that Spock has a really big Lurpa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again. I just don't get it.
Oh my gosh. We had 2 episodes in a row that just trigger Keith left and right.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about both of them tonight.
Yeah.
Well, what do we think of the dance battle to the death at the end?
Thank you. That's the point where I had gotten through the whole episode, and then they have a fight scene that morphs into a dance scene. I'm like, I'm trying not to cuss. But
Well-
I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And the dancing is what convinced her, change me back. Ugh.
Yeah,
Ugh.
my notes, because I do things like this myself. I wrote DAFUCK. I wrote that several times, and on that dance scene, I wrote that. What am I watching?
Just like over and over and over again.
Yes,
while you're watching
I
it.
kept writing it down because I don't even understand what happened there. I literally don't understand what happened.
He danced her back to being human.
Exactly.
Keith.
Right.
Lots of dances. Duh.
Last thing, Charles, you mentioned the Elysium episode. I wrote in my notes. You guys have talked about it so funny. I wrote in my notes, iMud versus Cupid versus The Way to
It's a
Eden
great episode.
versus all these other shows. Like, would I watch any of them over this one again? And I think the answer was pretty much yes to all the other kind of goofy, silly, funny Star Trek episodes, other than Move Along Home, maybe. I would
That's a
take
good
any of those other ones. You like that one?
Well, it's not great, but it has a lot of good about it. But
Yeah.
we've talked about that before. We don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, this is kind of like Fox Brain, where I would never try to make the argument that it's a good episode,
Yeah,
but it's
right.
fun to watch. I would
Yeah.
watch this one
Yeah,
again.
yeah, I can watch it again.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I will say, just before we move on to the next episode, I really like Anson Mount when he's right in the pocket playing Captain Pike the way I think Captain Pike should be.
Yeah.
Anytime they give him anything outside of that, any kind
Yeah.
of humorous thing, it is
Yeah.
just so awkward. He's
Yeah.
just not good at it. Whether
Yeah.
it's the awkward wedding speech, whether it's being a wizard in that one episode, whether it's being a Vulcan, like I think he's just not good at humor, and he does not play anything but Captain Pike very well.
I agree with that. And that actually goes back to why I keep lamenting the fact that he is not as central to this series as I think he should be, because he needs
Yeah.
more time to be captain. I agree
Yeah.
with you completely.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And Veronica, no one can see what you've got on your head there.
I know. I had to put my headphones on.
Yeah. She got if you've seen the game from Star Trek TNG at DragonCon.
Oh, yes.
The game,
Wow.
which doesn't translate well to a webcam.
Y'all need to rig some lights up on it so it keeps shooting. Well, not lasers. I want to shoot lasers in your eyes. But
Yeah. Well, do you want to take a quick break before we move on to the next
Sure.
episode?
sure. Terrarium.
Hang on. I'm getting set. I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
Enemy
Hang on.
mine too.
You sprung it on me. I knew it was
I'm
coming,
so
but
sorry.
it's just like Veronica and her closings. I know it's coming, but all
Halfway
right, what are we
point
gonna,
again?
let's do this one.
Attention, people of Earth!
Turned on the TV late last night.
Cause I felt nerdy.
Saved the galaxy from a fright.
Cause I felt nerdy. Turned on my TV late last night. Cause I felt nerdy. Then my gravity and took flight. Cause I felt nerdy.
Exterminate, exterminate, seek, locate, destroy. I have to go. Having some problems up here. Good luck, stay safe, see you soon.
All right, and we're back and talking about Terrarium. And we've got a character who's been going through some pretty severe Gorn trauma,
Mhm.
and I'm of course talking about Keith Johnson.
Well played.
This adventure
You were waiting to make that joke, weren't
Oh
you?
my gosh.
The whole
Yeah.
show.
Oh,
I got
Been holding it again since 6 a.m. this morning.
So Keith,
Nice.
did this adventure on the planet cure you of your Gorn trauma?
I didn't hate it.
Okay,
Oh.
that's a big step forward.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I'll go much more in detail. It felt somehow too rushed, and I'm not sure why.
Okay.
And I will say this: I literally almost threw my notebook at the TV when the last thing happened. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? I was
Well,
like, "Are you?"
Yeah, let's wait till we
That
get
was
to that.
That was a DAFUCK moment.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I put this as a solidly fine episode. I could watch it again. Somehow it felt too fast paced, and I'm not sure how. And you know,
It was
The-
long.
yeah, the
Yeah.
stranded with the enemy and having to become friends. It is not. I'm not even concerned about it copying. That's a trope, not even in science fiction. That's been around forever. Next Generation did it with Geordi at Galand and Core.
Yep.
Enterprise did it. Everybody has done it. Somehow
Lee
this
Marvin
one
did it.
Yes, you're right. Somehow this one, I'm not sure how I didn't feel the friendship develop, and I'm not sure how. So I thought it was fine. The ending almost undid me. Seriously, it almost undid me.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was an okay episode. It was really good when I watched it 35 years ago when it was called Enemy Mine. And then
Right.
it was really good 20 whatever years ago when it was called The Enemy in Next Generation. And it was even really good 60 whatever years ago when it was called Arena. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
if you're going to if you're going to copy from other things, copy from good things. And they did. So
I busted out loud laughing because Wayne had texted me. Wayne said, "Keith, have you watched it yet?" And I said, "No, I'm still watching." Wayne goes, "Have you watched Arena 2?" I mean, I just busted out laughing. Yes, Wayne, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So you got it too, Alan.
But
not offensive.
Here's one good thing. We finally have an Ortegas episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Finally.
Yeah.
So there's that. It has that going for it.
Yeah.
I really like the Ortegas part that she had so much going on. I liked that it was a Gorn that she ran into. I kind of figured that's what it would be on the planet, but I was kind of hoping it would be like the 60s Gorn and she'd be very confused, but she'd be able to tell it was a Gorn. Alas, not quite.
Because it was through a wormhole. That would be kind of clever.
Yeah.
Like I went through a wormhole to another universe and the Gorn looked like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I was hoping, but no such luck. No. And I like their little like chess match, and then the Gorn like clobbered her in chess.
Yeah.
And the that Erica was able to like MacGyver a water collector and a universal translator, but the Gorn didn't need the translator because Gorn understood her.
Her doing that, her MacGyvering the water collector and the translator was my favorite parts of the episode.
Yeah.
Because you're Star Trekking, you know?
Yes. All right. Right. About the Gorn in the translation, when the Gorn pointed to her head, was she saying she speaks English, or does she have an embedded translator in her? Like the Ferengi have or something.
Yeah, I mean, Ortega seemed to take it as "you understand me," but you're right. It could very well. But
understanding is the same thing as if you have a universal translator. Yeah, I can understand you.
True. Well, yeah, but like when the Ferengi universal translator works, you can understand them as well.
Yeah.
True.
You know.
True.
I did like her little makeshift translator was like sort of reminiscent of Pike's chair. That he'll be in one day, where it only like
yes. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. That's
honestly, when I just got over the fact that it was a Gorn, I was fine. I could watch this episode because honestly, her being a Gorn was really the least of the things. I mean, I know the big message, your big enemy, but there wasn't a bunch of Gornness around her.
Right.
And what I really did kind of appreciate, sometimes less is more, is I appreciate the fact you don't know her backstory, you don't know what happened. And I thought it was kind of cool when she was saying, basically, you're broken. Would you just lose Alan?
Yep, but he'll be back in a minute, I'm sure.
Okay. I kind of like it when she was basically saying you were broken and you're, in your race, basically you're kind of useless. I thought that was kind of cool. So just getting rid of the fact that it was a Gorn, I was fine. Yeah, I was fine with it.
Yeah, I had never realized until this episode when the Gorn was wearing a hood how much the new puppet Gorn looked like Skeksis from the Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
I thought the puppetry was good.
Yeah.
Throughout this.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is I think easily my favorite episode of this season.
Really?
And it's up there for the series, I think. And I think part of that is just it didn't reinvent the wheel. I mean, obviously this is a story we've seen before, but it's just a good old fashioned sci-fi story of the week.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like two enemy pilots are stranded on a planet together and they develop a rapport. And I like it. I mean, that's old school sci-fi, and I enjoy that. But I thought it was good. I thought Ortegas was very good in this one.
Yes.
She never faced any sort of consequences from her. Like she had a diminished like role in a few episodes, but as far as like her insubordination from earlier in the season, we never really saw her have to deal with that. And she came around very quickly on the Gorn this week. As soon as she discovered the Gorn wasn't going to eat her, she didn't keep trying to kill the Gorn. And she was like, "Okay, I guess we'll get along then." You know.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good. Yeah, I'm sure he's logging back in.
He's back in.
But yeah, I mean, I thought that the episode was good. I like the
Mhm.
subplot with Uhura.
Mhm.
Being very desperate. I do think it's way too easy to
I got
fake the
thoughts.
results of a scientific report.
Mhm.
Surprise, where you just slide your finger up your pad and it'll
I
change
know.
the results of
Right.
the test.
Yeah.
I got
That
thoughts on that. I'll say that to the end about what Uhura did there. I have thoughts. It goes back to Starfleet being a military. But
Pike was very good in this episode. He was
yeah.
being Captain Pike, which I
Mhm.
appreciate. And I thought Spock was being Spock the entire time. which I
Yeah.
appreciate.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought this was a good episode.
And Charles, you make a good point about it absolutely didn't reinvent the wheel, because how many times has a ship needed to deliver some medicine or a cure for something, and they got like, you got 5 hours to save a whole planet? That's classic Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's classic.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
fine
little
with that.
Galileo 7, a little The Enemy, a little Arena.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Right.
nothing original. But I mean, they take enough big swings that I don't mind a derivative old-fashioned Star Trek
Yeah.
episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Same here. If it's
Mhm.
done well, I'm fine
Yeah.
with that.
Did you catch the reference to Captain Decker of the Constellation?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They mentioned
Oh.
the constellation. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the ship and the future Commodore from the
Mhm.
Doomsday Machine, Veronica.
Okay, I don't remember the Doomsday Machine very well, but okay,
No.
I believe you.
And again, I will give them props for the fact that they left me wondering what the heck is the story of the Gorn.
Mhm.
And that's props there. I know she's a pilot, but we know nothing else past that. She crashed there,
Yeah.
and that's kind of it. And that was very interesting. So
Yeah.
Leaving me wanting more. I thought that was pretty good.
It is
Okay.
interesting. This is one of the longer episodes of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
And I agree about it feeling rushed. It did feel like
It
they were hitting
did.
some beats. And like at the end when they're going
Mhm.
through and there's this big crazy solar system and an eruption on a planet, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's her. And without
Right.
verifying that, they're like, go down and get her, Lieutenant. You know, nothing else could possibly cause that eruption in this hugely unstable solar system through a
Right.
wormhole.
Yeah, because given that she basically threw a match at it, I agree anything could have set that off. So there was, if you want to be derivative, go ahead and have her get the shuttle up in the air, and they can see it going across the screen, and it crashes. So I agree. I thought that was a little, and it was weird. And this is again not my personal feelings about Gorn. As soon as the show started and she landed, I kept saying the camera's moving too quickly, and I can't stand quick camera cuts. That's just me personally. And then the whole show felt rushed. Even when they killed her at the end, it felt rushed. And I'm like Veronica was saying, it's a long episode, but the plot moved too quickly for me, and I'm not sure why. It's weird. I don't know why, but it just felt the resolution, the friendship. It's not that I didn't buy the friendship. I didn't get a feeling that friendship developed naturally, given whatever the time period was they had. I just didn't. I don't know why. It just felt rushed, but that didn't make me hate the show. I could definitely watch it again. The thing
Alan,
with
you about to grab some comments when I jump
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. Michael Phillips says, I like Terrarium until the
Yes.
end, and once again with the fan service. Why?
Amen.
Getting
Amen,
tired of it.
Michael. Yes, Michael, it almost undid me. No lie.
Matt Sweatman says, I know the obvious comparisons for Terrarium are Arena and TNG's The Enemy, but the ending felt a lot like the Galileo 7, which also has been mentioned. So
Yeah.
And not just the ending, but also we have to deliver the
Yes.
the plague on Marcus 2.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Michael Phillips says, I was enjoying it until the fan service moment. So sick of it. It's gotten to the
Amen.
point where too many good episodes are getting ruined by it.
Amen. And it just made no sense.
But
No sense.
he does say there were good Erica moments.
Well, we've all been wanting Erica, so finally,
Yeah.
finally,
Elaine says, I said the exact same thing. It looks like Dark Crystal. Gelfling, yeah. Michael Phillips says, I thought the
Oh my
Gorn
God.
was a Skeksis at first. Yes, exactly. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought that.
Nah.
And then Matt wraps us up by saying, I'm just glad we had a good, tense episode that downplayed the humor. This show does suspense well and should lean into it more. Yes. I agree with that.
Yeah.
They also did something I thought was really interesting, because I was trying to look at the science of it, but it was cool because, like, especially after the humor episode, the gas giant looming in the sky was cool. That's just a cool science fiction concept. And there's, if y'all haven't read, I know you've probably heard of the Dragon Riders of Pern, the fantasy novels. And you know, one of those things is every now and then the two planets get close enough together to where those spores called the thread jump from planet to planet. But I thought it was cool when Erica's like, "Oh crap, this planet's ellipse is such it's going to get really close to the moon, I guess, to the gas giant." Stuff like that. You say, Charles, it's good old fashioned sci-fi. That was just cool, you know. And even when they said 396 moons, like, holy crap, good luck.
It's a bunch of moons.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. So, do we want to talk about the ending scene?
Sure.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
I mean, let's
almost
set it up for us, Chuck.
Yeah. So at the end, the Metron turns up, and and it turns out that the Metrons are aware that they've got two what to them savage, interstellar empires on the opposite sides of their territory, and eventually they're going to meet. And there's been sort of monitoring the situation.
But they have left themselves an out for all of their canon tampering by having Gorn heavily featured throughout these 3 seasons. And that is, we will let you keep your memories of your encounter with the Gorn, but we may have to consider going forward. We may have to reset this whole thing. And I was like, oh, I see where you're going.
My thought was I want to put a Metron in my puppet show, and every time there's a continuity error, the Metron pops up to have to erase everybody's memory again.
Do it. That's so awesome.
You can't remember these Borg, Captain Archer.
Right.
So what did the Metron actually do in terms of memory then?
He said Ortegas wouldn't remember him. Wouldn't remember the encounter with the Metron.
With just the Gorn. Okay.
Yeah. She just remembers the Gorn. Yeah, and I mean, I don't even mind it so much. I like that it sort of ties in with that the Metron have been aware of this situation for longer and have been meddling in the situation for longer than we know.
Yeah,
and for all we know, there could have been earlier encounters between the Gorn and humans that have been the Metrons have done their magic on, sort of waiting for the time when the humans and the Gorn or the Federation and the Gorn can coexist. But but I agree, it would be different if like this was the first big TOS cameo thing this season, and it's not. I mean, you can't get through an episode without something from the original series popping up.
I agree with Michael.
Just Kirk.
I agree with Michael. I have a thing against what I call lazy writing, which is when you connect stuff too much because it's easy to connect stuff, and this is lazy writing. It's too easy to connect it for me personally. And the whole thing is the one reason that really upset me is because the show would have been fine without a Metron. There was no real need for the Metron. It could have just been and should have just been a random wormhole appears every now and then and brings ships in. I didn't need the Metron. That button on the end of the show, it's like, why?
But there is a need for the Metron because that's the mechanism by which they are going to reset canon so that they are not violating the arena. Once we get to that point, arena, the first contact between Gorn and human is still intact because nobody is aware of the fact that it has happened before.
Yeah, I like
the solution to that is just don't do it.
Amen.
Don't put the Gorn in. Do something different.
I like Charles.
Then you don't have to have the Metrons.
Yeah, excuse me. I like what Charles is saying because Charles, when you mentioned using the Metron in every show, it's like back in the old, the old Greek plays where the literal term Deus Ex Machina came from. Because all the Greek plays, like the gods would come down to last and save it. It kind of reminded me of that. Now, for spoilers for some who've never watched Enterprise also did one like this because they brought the Organians around.
Yep.
And for some reason, that show upset me less than this one, possibly because this one was at the end and it really just threw me like, what?
Yeah.
What?
The thing that gets me, we 2 episodes in a row now, we've had sort of get out of jail free explanations pop up for a violation of the original series continuity, right? With the Romulans and now with the Gorn. But there's so much about nothing in the show is consistent with the original series. So why try to explain the Gorn when they're flying around on this giant spacious Enterprise that has a cocktail lounge inside it, right? Like why try to explain the Romulans when Spock is like hanging out with T'Pring and Uhura last season. You know what I mean? Like I remember in the original series in Amok Time when Chapel was surprised to find that Spock had a wife or fiance.
Absolutely.
Right?
Everybody was.
Maybe the Metrons are going to change her memory where she won't remember T'Pring for the original series. Maybe they'll change their memory so they think the Enterprise was much smaller and a different style ship. Like what? Why just go one way or the other? Quit trying to have it both ways.
Or maybe
look through the wormhole and see, another reality where Captain Pike wears a turtleneck and the Gorn look like, guys in rubber suits wearing togas, and then close the wormhole and continue on with the new Star Trek universe.
Or maybe, like what Keith said at the beginning, maybe the Metrons are going to erase the audience's memory of seeing all of these episodes.
That's pretty. I kind of like that. One other thing that bugged me, it's very slight, but it bugged me, and it's because I've said this a billion times. I just don't feel these folks are writing in military, which is weird because I've never served in the military. But I get it. Nyota, you were concerned about your friend, but that lady changed data that could have destroyed that entire ship.
Yeah,
that's not a. That's not a. I would have done
some backlash from that.
Oh heck yeah, that ain't cool. That ain't cool.
Well, what about backlash from shooting a Gorn on site?
Yes, yeah. What was that all about?
Understandably, it was La'an that did it, and we know she has a history with the Gorn, but still,
yeah, she wasn't
why
running.
would you do that?
Yeah, Erica wasn't running. Not to mention they could have hit her because it was real close. Erica, as a matter of fact, tried to jump in the way. Yeah, I had a huge problem with that, so that felt a little contrived.
And I don't remember from the season premiere if there was like an official state of war between the Federation and the Gorn.
No.
But imagine if she's a U.S. soldier and someone from another country comes running out of a building and you shoot them on sight. Oh, well, she's got a lot of hangups about the Gorn. You know what I mean? Let's go, everybody. Like there's just like last season when Mbenga killed an ambassador in sickbay and then just went about his job the next episode.
I'm telling you, that's the thing. I'm not liking how they're writing Pike and the discipline and lack thereof on this military ship. Because I agree, shooting for back in the original series, Friday's Child. Remember that poor schlub when he was going for his phase? He goes, a Klingon! And the guy gets him in the chest with that flying saw blade. Yeah. At least he didn't get to draw his weapon. So I agree. So I did have a little problem with that. And I had a huge problem with Pike telling Uhura I was gonna do it anyway. It's like, dude, again, that in real military, that's an offense that could get you thrown in the brigs, disciplined. And also, it could have killed people on that ship. The ship could have been destroyed because she fudged data. That's not a minor. Oh, I know you were really concerned about your friend. There's some discipline these people are lacking that I don't like, and that's just me very personally.
Sure.
Yeah.
It would have been hilarious if they had gone through all this nonsense and they had pried open the wormhole with the ship and they had done all this stuff, and then the landing party accidentally shoots Ortegas instead of the Gorn.
I'm really glad they didn't do that. That'd been terrible.
That would have been hilarious. All right, here's some comments really quickly. Michael Phillips says, one potential science error, a star that blue would make it very hard to see and it would ruin your eyes without protection.
Actually,
I will say it was very hard to see those scenes in the episode. So at least they got that part of it right.
Actually, Michael, I thought that too, because a blue-white star would have vaporized her. But was that the star? Or was that the gas giant?
That was the gas giant.
So yeah, I think it was a planet, not a star. I had the same thought. A blue-white star is the hottest star there is. She'd be dead in like 10 seconds. But I think that was the gas giant, so it's not a star. Look good though.
Wayne says, when the Metrons showed up, I immediately thought Arena 2.0.
And texted me. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Matt says, Elaine and I would just love to see you putting an Archer puppet in your show.
Look, I put Faith of the Heart in my shows this year.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Matt says, I'm not as offended with the Metron's appearance as others, but I do agree the episode doesn't need it. I'm telling you, they're saving it. They're using it for something later on.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Michael says, I agree with Keith. When you keep bringing stuff back and create connections, you shrink the size of the universe.
Right.
Meet new aliens and see new worlds instead.
Yeah.
See a strange new world.
Yeah.
And
they were on
next
planet
week's episode, the finale is called never mind. Anyway,
That would be hilarious if the last episode was called Nevermind.
yep. Michael says the Metron seemed more haughty than enlightened at this time. Made me think, girl, I don't want to meet you if you're going to have that attitude.
Okay.
Wayne says, don't get me started about the military.
Yeah.
Matt says, I think they're trying to put some tension between La'an and Ortegas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. He also says it's called a court-martial offense.
Thank you, Wayne.
Right.
Agreed completely.
And Elaine brings it around by saying, and I missed it, Faith of the Heart.
Yeah. Did it 2 different shows.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Both of the Star Trek shows. Twice in each show.
Yeah.
So I've got 4
Twice.
Faith of the Hearts this year, Elaine. It's not my fault you missed it.
One thing you all said in comments as well that I've said this again, I always have to do a disclaimer. This is not my personal issues with this new universe. Is one thing I liked about Enterprise, even though they didn't always stick the landing, is they gave us new aliens, whether one likes them or not, with
Sure.
the Zindi and some of the other stuff.
Sure.
And whether one likes that goofy Western episode and good Lord, Terra Nova, I use whatever it was, scan it, scale it, shell it, whatever. But they gave us more new stuff.
Mhm.
And unlike almost every fan out there, I don't think the best season of Enterprise is season 4 because it was too much callback for me. So for what you guys are saying, just even if they're not great, give me new aliens. I don't need the callbacks. I don't need the Metrons. I don't need the Gorn. I don't need that kind of stuff. I need more of the other stuff.
It could just be a dude with a bumpy forehead. And that's a dude with a slightly different bumpy forehead,
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Alan's right on when he said this is more of a relationship show.
Absolutely.
And it's like the real Strange New Worlds are the friends we made along the way.
Wow.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Charles, that's funny. And now that means, and then that all they need less is they'll go next week, a very special episode of Strange New Worlds. And then we'll get one of those. I will say in my summary, I didn't hate either episode. And that's cool. Like you said, Charles, I could watch either one of them again. I mean, Elysium, I never want to see it again. The trailer episode, I never want to see it again. I could watch these and be fine and enjoy them.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is that the last or previously on Strange New Worlds, that little setup they do at the beginning of each episode, they made it look like they were going to deal head on with Erica's, since this was clearly going to be an Erica episode, that it was going to deal with her trauma and her that moment of insubordination that she had earlier, and it really didn't do any of that.
It completely skipped over the fact that she was like seeing Gorn in the reflection.
I thought that.
Like,
That's right.
That's just gone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, I will. Maybe that's laying an egg for something later on.
That's Patel. They laid an egg.
Good one. What I was trying to say earlier is that next week's episode, number 10, which is the season finale, is called New Life and New Civilizations.
Yay!
I wonder if we're actually going to get one of any of those things.
Yay!
And it looks like this is not a 2-parter like we thought maybe it would be, but no, not this time.
They'll probably bump into the spaceship Yanada for some reason, keep going. So
Right. Okay. Well, Alan, where can people find more of you?
Okay, you head on over right now to cosmiccreative.com, KOZMIC creative.com. I have loaded up on the website information about the 2 new books that I have coming out, which are Doctor Who books. They are a timeline of everything that has happened. Well, not everything, but highlights that have happened in the Whoniverse, from television, from comics, from webcasts, from fan clubs, conventions, all kinds of things, all in one big timeline from 1960 to right now.
Wow.
So, and that should be out very, very, very soon.
Okay. Awesome. And Keith, where can people find more of you?
you can find me on Facebook, primarily the ESO Network Facebook groups.
And how about us, Veronica?
FeltNerdy.com.
And?
Monkeying Around, a podcast about the monkeys.
Yep. And do you have a closing for us this week?
No! As they shoot the Gorn.
Okay. I like that you contextualize that for us.
Yes.
Well, join us September 27th at 1 p.m. at Infinite Realities in Tucker, Georgia. We'll be going live, and we'll have our book there. And in the meantime, join us on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Next week we'll be talking about the season finale of Strange New Worlds, and then the week after that doing a season retrospective for season 3 in review, and then we'll be back to legacy Star Trek topics for the foreseeable future.
That means we have to start figuring out what to talk about each week.
I know, it's like you say woohoo, I'm trying to think of topics.
So the remedy for that is that if our regular viewers and listeners would let us know what topics they would like to see us cover. If you have a topic that you would love to see, then drop us a comment on our socials or email us at earthstationtrek@gmail. Right? Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
earthstationtrek@gmail.com.
Yeah. Well,
Or
the .com is
307-387-1701.
That's right.
exactly.
307-387-1701.
Yeah, and it'd be fun if people called and left messages like giving your opinions of the season so far of Strange New Worlds this year.
Yeah.
And we can play your messages on the show.
That would be great.
And then we also have to figure out how we're going to cover Star Trek Con and to what extent, because that starts in a few days.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's
That's
right.
September the 8th,
Ooh.
I think.
Oh shoot.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Have a
all the
good one.
comments. And we'll see you next Thursday.
And don't shoot the Gorn.
Is that a blanket statement that no one should ever shoot a Gorn?
I thought it was a euphemism. You'll go blind.
Wow.